Hi, Jeff. Welcome to Ludum Press. What we are looking at today is OSRIC, the old school reference and index compilation. Big name, OSRIC. What is it? It's basically a new, well, not new, it was brought out by Matthew Finch 2006. This is the revised edition from Usherwood Publishing and Stuart Marshall in 2013. It's basically a fantasy role-playing game all in one book. It's a free set of rules, you can get free copies of it, and it mirrors Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So what it does is, Wizards of the Coast brought out an open gaming license. It allowed publishers to make games for whatever version of D&D you were playing. What the guys did was they brought out the 1A version of the OGL license, and they used that mechanism to go back and create almost a mirror of the first edition, the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, in a new system called OSRIC, a free system that you could use for free. So this system is really good for fantasy role-playing as an introduction to people who've never played role-playing before, or also good for later players, people who played 4E, 5E of D&D, but never played the early genesis of Dungeons & Dragons, the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. You can do this for no cost. You can go online. knightsandknaves.com is where the original material is held. That's where OSRIC is sitting. You can get a copy of the rules from there. There's copies all around the web, EPUBs, PDFs. They are free and legally free. What this book here, this version does, is you can go out and get published versions. So this is the Usherwood Publishing A5 version. It's just shy of 400 pages, 396. So I'll try and explain this in terms that even people who haven't played fantasy role-playing games can understand. It's got all the rules for the players. It's got rules for in OSRIC we call them the Game Master. Traditional Dungeons & Dragons, it's the Dungeon Master. It's got all the rules for the Game Masters and all the monsters and everything all in one book. All in one set of rules for free. You just go and download them if you want. I like getting a print version because science tells us that if we've got print material and we read print material, we retain it better than looking at a screen. That's a good reason for having print material. This is really good because it's black and white with lovely, that traditional black and white fantasy artwork throughout. It's cool, it's really beautiful. And it's just a really nice little reference here. So it's a Dungeons & Dragons game, but it doesn't have everything Dungeons & Dragons. It's not a complete, legally it cannot be a complete copy of Dungeons & Dragons, obviously. It doesn't contain the trademark stuff, so you're not going to find beholders for people who are familiar with D&D content. There's certain monsters that are missing, but there's still a magnificent amount of monsters. And obviously this system, it has the OGL, so content, but it also has its own license, OSRIC license, so you can produce content for OSRIC as well. So there's a plethora of stuff out there, Drive-Thru RPG and places like that, Lulu, have content that is designed to be compatible with OSRIC and therefore easily portable across to official Dungeons & Dragons stuff, and vice versa. You can bring for early Dungeons & Dragons stuff into this without much trouble. The mechanics and all that, if you haven't played fantasy role-playing, what it does is a game master runs a story, people play a person in that universe. You have attributes, you have abilities like armor class, how hard it is to hit you, hit points, how much stamina you can take, you use dice to roll it. This set of rules, if you're a 5e player or you've played later versions of Dungeons & Dragons, what will be new to things like is the class of half-orc, the race. Class-wise, there's classes that you might be familiar with either like the Illusionist and the Assassin. Love the Assassin. If people have evil intent, like poison and being a bit shifty, the Assassin is a great class. Really good for DMs to basically hassle the crap out of their party and keep them in line and to challenge them and to have fun. That's what playing role-playing games is about. It's imagining the universe. It's Lord of the Rings. I'm an elf, I'm a dwarf, whatever. This is a great system. It replicates early Dungeons & Dragons very closely, and it's a free system, or you can get these nice, really cheap published versions. What I like about this, it's the one-stop shop for players and for game masters. The only thing that's sort of missing out of this content-wise is that it doesn't have the universe. So it doesn't have a campaign world, it doesn't have deities and all that stuff, but obviously there's a lot of other resources out there. Just plug them in. It's a good system to use, and in terms of publishing, it's a great system to produce almost Dungeons and Dragons stuff out in the universe in a legal way. So that's really good. You'll see heaps of content out there. Ludum Press is doing a low-level module for this. You'll see more about it, about a town called Illumvale and your struggle to keep it free from evil boogeymen. Typical dungeon spaghetti western it will be. I'll let you know more about that as it's coming out. On the presentation, I like the way this is laid out. It's got compiled tables at the back, which is really handy rather than having to try and bookmark or remember 20 pages in between. Where's the attack tables? Where's the save tables? All the tables are compiled down the back. Really nice layout and presentation on this material. You get the digital ones free, use them, and then use it with a print copy like this Usherwood one. It makes for really good play and really useful play. This is the book. OSRIC is the system. Usherwood Publishing's got the updated second version. Really handy stuff for gaming. For role players, if you're 5E, you want to go back to 1E, look at this. If you're new and you want an introduction to sort of what is Dungeons and Dragons, grab a copy. Really good stuff. And we'll keep you updated on how our module's going and the work on that. Still a way to go, but I'll get it out to you. As always, happy gaming. Stay safe. See ya.